Okay, hello, this is Ethan Leeds, Holistic Health Coach with Dr. Shaun McKee, medically trained doctor, and we're going to be discussing some very important things in regards to your health. We're going to be looking at cause of chronic disease, and we're going to be looking at what we can do about addressing those causes. So as a holistic health coach, I'm very involved in helping people with all kinds of serious chronic disease, and I'm always looking at ways to deal with the causes. Causes like suppressed immune, inflammation, oxidation, deficiencies, compromised gut, imbalances of hormones and sugars and so on. All of these things are underlying chronic diseases. And if we're going to fix anything, we have to start with the cause, right? So we don't necessarily need to address the disease directly. We need to address the imbalances in the body that have created the situation. And with that in mind, I want to talk particularly about one of the key causes for so many diseases, and that's oxidation. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Shaun McKee, and I'm going to ask, as an opener, Dr. McKee, could you just explain what exactly is oxidation and why is it something we need to be concerned about?
Thank you. So nice to have for you to have me here. Thank you very much. And that's a great question. And the best way to explain it is, to realize that we're humans and we breathe oxygen. Okay. Every organism that is alive, except for anaerobic bacteria, also have to deal with oxygen. And if you think about an apple, if you cut it in half, the skin is protecting the apple until you cut it. And is protecting it from the oxygen in the environment. And when you cut that apple, the oxygen slowly, sometimes more rapidly than you'd like, turns the apple brown. And that's an example of oxidation. Another is if you leave a bicycle out in the rain, in the sunshine, in the rain, after several months, the bicycle begins to rust. And I one time saw a meme with Keanu Reeves, and it's hysterical. It stuck out at me. It says, "What if the air is poisonous, only it takes 80 years to kill us?" Well, basically, that is what's happening. When we're young, we actually have amazing defenses against this oxidation. Our body has the ability to produce antioxidant enzymes. And we've all heard of antioxidants. I mean, you take vitamin C, you take vitamin E, you eat blueberries because they have antioxidant powers. But that is direct antioxidant. You eat one antioxidant molecule and it will neutralize one free radical. One kills one and you pee it out, one and done. And that's why if you take a lot of antioxidant vitamins, if you notice your urine is bright yellow, that's the synthetic colorings that your body's just peeing it out. It's one and done. Not the best way. The best way we see a great example of when we look at our children. Okay, a child sprains his ankle. If he's 6 or 7, that ankle is good as new probably the next day or the day after that, versus a 40 or 50 or 60-year-old spraining their ankle that's black and blue. He's unable to walk on it for weeks. And that's because the older person is not making these antioxidant molecules, these anti-inflammatory proteins, these housekeeping proteins, heat shock proteins, all the survival genes that young people make. Go ahead. Do you want to ask?
So let's just backstep a second. So most people understand that oxidants, or another word for that is free radicals, right? So oxidants damage us internally, and they're mostly familiar with antioxidants, which you mentioned, foods. And so what most people don't know is this whole one-on-one thing, and I'm sure you're going to explain about the enzymes shortly and how they differ. But so what's happening there, correct me if I'm wrong, is that an oxidant is basically not in balance because it's lost an electron, right? So, and so the antioxidant donates an electron to rebalance it so that it's now stable again. So hence it can only donate one electron, and that's it. It's spent. It's used up, and it's so. Here's the question. So have we got, like, what are the kind of numbers of free radicals? So if we're eating some superfood antioxidant, like, what kind of impact is that going to have if I eat, I don't know, let's say a load of oranges or something, or vitamin E or whatever? What kind of impact can that have on the numbers of free radicals that are bouncing around our body, damaging our DNA and our cell membranes and all the rest of the damage that they do?
Oh, that's such a great question. And there's so many ways I want to go with that, so many directions. Well, first of all, you know, the one and done, and as you said, 1 electron donated per antioxidant molecule. You've heard of the ORAC value. That's oxidant reduction antioxidant capacity. I think that's the right acronym, but that's basically what it means. How many free radicals that the dosage that you would take of that will neutralize.
Right.
And so the higher the ORAC value, the more bad guys you're going to kill. Okay. So 9,850 ORAC values is a good number, but you know, your body produces 3 with 27 zeros behind it, like 300 septillion. I don't even know how to say the number. That's a lot of free radicals. That's even if you don't exercise. If you exercise, think about it, you're going to be breathing more oxygen. Okay, exercise is good for you, but in the process, it's a double-edged sword because you're actually breathing more oxygen, so you're oxidizing more. The benefit is that stimulates your body to make more of these antioxidant enzymes, and that's why it's net positive if you don't overdo it.
Right. Hold on. So what you're saying is that if we've got like a number so big we can't say it, we don't know what it is, an antioxidant food that we, therefore I'm just getting the feeling we're touching like the smallest fraction of those free radicals, even with
that's absolutely right.
Right.
Absolutely right. You'd have to eat like, I don't know, 675 oranges to do what 1 molecule of your own SOD does. And guess what? As you eat the orange, okay, now your body has to digest that food. And what's the end result of breathing oxygen and eating food? Well, it's free radicals, okay? You make carbon dioxide in the water and a free radical. So, you know, the fact to think that you're going to neutralize the damage that is occurring from, you know, the free radicals in our environment by eating food or direct antioxidants is just an insane, you know, thought when you think.
Okay, so what we're saying then is the free radical, the antioxidants we eat are not going to go near the problem that we've got of the free radicals that we're producing through normal bodily processes, respiration, and so on. Also toxins. Toxins, we're being bombarded with toxins, right? And they create free radicals. And exercise, I do try and avoid exercise because obviously I know that.
We talked about that.
Okay, so we're not touching it, which explains why as we get older, even if we're eating healthily, we're still having issues, aging. So one of the things that free radicals do is they age us, right? So that's what they do to an apple. They make it, effectively it's dying when it's going brown. And so we're, you know, our organs are being attacked, our skin, we see the age spots and the wrinkles and all the rest of it, all caused by free radical damage. And even if you're eating healthy, you can't get near that. Okay, so you've mentioned that we create our own antioxidants, okay, which are much more potent. So tell me a little bit more about that. What are we creating? Why is it more potent? And can we do something about changing the levels that we're creating?
Yes, and I'm going to back up a little bit. Okay, this free radical damage that we're talking about, that's what everybody knows. Okay, the medical world, the research world calls that something different. They call it oxidative stress. I'm going to raise my hands here. Okay, a child is making lots of the good guys. Okay, and they're exposed to less of the bad guys because they've been around less long, right? they're not doing the things that some adults do that are unhealthy, like smoking and drinking and, you know, working in factories, etc. So they've got a relatively low number of bad guys and an overabundance of good guys. So they're balanced and they can heal and they're healthy. As we get older, we're exposed to more and more bad guys. We're breathing more air. We've been accumulating more damage just from eating regular food, even if we're eating healthy. And if we are driving cars on the freeway or walking down a highway, we're getting exposed to more and more diesel fuel, jet fuel, you know, preservatives, food coloring, additives, pesticides, insecticides. Okay. All right. And here we're a child. We're making lots of these good guys. So even if we were a healthy child being exposed to all these things, we've got a problem. What's this? This is oxidative stress, this gap. Okay. Well, guess what? After age 20, we stop producing the good guys to that degree that we were, and it gets, I don't have to raise my hands up. We produce fewer and fewer and fewer good guys, and we're exposed to more and more bad guys. And that's why with each passing decade, we collect different maladies that are related to oxidative stress. If you go to PubMed, which is the National Library of Medicine, it's a repository for the National Institutes of Health of all peer-reviewed published literature that's indexed by them, and you type in oxidative stress, you're going to find over 170,000 now studies on the impact of oxidative stress on various diseases, and those are the things that you collect after each decade.
Can you just give us some examples of some of the diseases that have been linked to oxidative stress that people might be familiar with?
Okay, yeah, sure. I would love to. Immune system, autoimmune processes, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, heart disease, cardiovascular, congestive heart failure, high cholesterol, eczema, acne, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, macular degeneration, cataracts, glaucoma, renal failure, Alzheimer's, ADHD, Parkinson's, arthritis, asthma, COPD, just multi-organ. It just is, it affects everything.
Right, and I'll just throw in one that you missed that I'm particularly focused on, which is cancer. So
right. And diabetes too. Those are awful. They're like really top 2 killers in the United States.
Are there any chronic diseases that oxidative stress isn't part of? I mean, it sounds like it's pretty much everything. Would that be fair to say?
It's part of every disease, because when the body is not functioning well, it's not dealing with the free radicals to the same degree. Now, some diseases are not caused by oxidative stress. There are inherited diseases. Maybe that's caused by the oxidative stress of the parents. There are, anatomic diseases, malformations. But again, those diseases place extra burdens on the body, which then is subject to the inability to clear the oxidative stress. So it's related to everything. May or may not be causative, but it's related to.
Right. So in that case, if we're going to be trying to help someone, or if you are someone with a health condition, a chronic health condition, you can be sure that oxidative stress, if not the cause, is at least a contributory factor to that disease, and therefore is something that you should be addressing. And now we've just discovered that antioxidant foods, which I think we both agree everyone should be eating.
Right.
We should be having antioxidant foods. We're not, no one's saying that don't eat antioxidant foods.
No, eat an anti-inflammatory diet for sure.
Right. So we should be doing that. But from what you're saying, what we really need to be doing, if anything can be done, and I know it can, and we'll get to that, but what we really need to be doing is helping our body to make more of our own enzyme antioxidants, which are so much more potent than the food. So you just said that when we get to 20, that ability of making our own antioxidants starts to decrease. And as we get older and older, it decreases more. I assume as well, apart from age, I assume also sickness would have an impact on our ability to create this, right? So you could be, and if you were sick, you might not be making as much as you should be. Okay.
You're depleted, right, from having your body try to heal itself.
Right. So question number 1 is then, what is this thing that our body, what's it called, that we're supposed to be making, that we're making less and less of? Give me a name.
The blanket term is survival genes, okay, and there's hundreds of them, but I don't know if anyone's seen these. I love this commercial that I saw it years ago once, and it had an impact on me because it made sense. And forgive me if you haven't seen the commercial, but Cindy Crawford is a famous actress, mostly model in the United States, and she has a skincare line, and it's based on the melons in the south of France that make more SOD. That's one of the survival genes. That's one of the good guys. SOD neutralizes 1 million free radicals a second after second. And so, versus one and done. And so these melons in the south of France don't rot as fast. They don't, if they were an apple, they wouldn't turn brown as fast. And so they decided to capitalize on this melon's ability to make SOD and make a skin cream out of the melon. But when we do the right things, we can become that melon. We can actually make more SOD and neutralize millions of free radicals a second. Catalase is another one. Lack of catalase is why people get gray hair, because catalase converts peroxide into water okay, and oxygen. So if you have a lack of catalase, you've got more peroxide, you have more gray hair. Glutathione is another one. It's a master antioxidant. It's the most important antioxidant you've never heard of, as Dr. Oz describes it. You need to see that too, because he does a great little hands-on demo of what glutathione does. It takes out damaged proteins and damaged tissues and helps repair phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification. It's a wonderful molecule. And when you're producing the good guys through this various interventions that are called nutrigenomics, you're making 300% more glutathione, you're making 30% more SOD, 54% more catalase, and now your body's aging and diseasing at the same rate it was when you were a healthy child, which I think I would choose that if I could.
For sure, I think all of us would do that. Okay, so how do we do that? What do we need to change now? Obviously, eating a healthy diet contributes to all those good things, but as we've said, it's not enough. So if we want to go to the next level, what's the science say that we can do? And as a doctor, I know when you're speaking on these issues, you're speaking very much from a viewpoint on the studies, the science, you know, what's been proven, right?
Right. Well, the great thing is our bodies, every cell in our body has this protein, and it's called NRF2, NRF2. It's a long set of words that are abbreviated into this NRF2, and it's pronounced NRF. And NRF2 is basically a cellular stress thermostat. It sits in the cytoplasm of the cell, and it waits until there's a signal that says my body's under stress. When it receives that signal, it's uncoupled from where it's locked down in the cytoplasm. And what it does then, as soon as it's free, it goes right into the nucleus of the cell and binds to the antioxidant response element, which codes for hundreds of survival genes. And it says, make these good guys, make these survival genes. And so then your DNA produces all these proteins and, you know, housekeeping proteins, heat shock proteins, antioxidant enzymes, anti-inflammatory proteins, and it also turns off the pro-inflammatory cytokines. And so once it's done doing that, it basically goes, binds, codes for these transcriptions, and then goes back up where it's locked down in the cytoplasm again until the next stressor occurs.
Okay, so you just used some fairly complex language, so I'm going to try and simplify that down.
That's a good idea.
I simplify it then, and it's not accurate, then please tell me. But basically what you've just said is that this NRF2 is like a switch that you can turn on and off, and it's off, and you're doing something to turn it back on and get the body to start making some of these antioxidants and so on that are going to
exactly.
So it's basically it's a switch, an on-off switch, and what you're talking about is switching it from off to on.
That's right. That's right. And there are foods, we can choose foods that do it. The problem with that is they only do it a little bit, and then of course the foods have a net negative effect as well because they're inducing oxidative stress, because that's part of how we make free radicals. But foods like broccoli, green tea, turmeric, milk thistle, these all can turn this process on. Even people have heard of cannabis, that's a NRF2 activator. Pretty much everything you've ever heard of that's good for you is a NRF2 activator. Probiotics. But what I love is that in 2003, the discoverer of this enzyme, SOD, remember the melons in the south of France that don't rot as fast, SOD was discovered in 1969 by a doctor at Duke University. He literally stumbled upon it, and he discovered this enzyme that scavenges free radicals a million per second before we as a world and he as a scientist knew that our bodies produced free radicals. He found the answer before he knew there was a problem. He found an answer before the question, the solution before the problem. When they discovered this, they thought free radicals existed in the environment, and that's why metal rusted. They didn't know we had free radicals. So back in 1969, Dr. McKee discovers SOD. And that launched this whole paradigm of free radicals as the cause in our bodies then of aging and disease. And actually, Dr. McKee was awarded the Elliott Crescent Medal, which is the highest honor in science. It's given by the Franklin Institute, the Benjamin Franklin Institute. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize twice. And he was awarded this medal for his role in elucidating the free radicals' effect on aging and disease. And since the time he discovered this, he had been trying to figure out a way to make the body make more SOD, as you can imagine. That would be a good thing.
It would be a very good thing, right?
Yeah, so they actually initially, for decades, focused on a drug route. And they found a drug, a kind of a synthetic SOD. But it had side effects, and somebody in that company who wasn't a researcher at all, he's just a man thinking outside the box, thought, you know, there's got to be a way to turn this process back on, make the body make SOD naturally. I mean, with all the millions, not millions, but well, probably millions, but thousands and hundreds of plants out there in the rainforest in India and China, there's got to be something. So he actually brought a list of plants to Dr. McCord, the guy who discovered SOD. Said, what do you think about these? And Dr. McCord took a look at some of them and took them off the list because of potential toxicity or side effects or drug interactions, and he was left with 5. And they are turmeric, milk thistle, ashwagandha, bacopa, and green tea. Same NRF2 activators we discussed before, but he kind of tinkered with the ratios, and he blended them in different combinations and measured their ability to make these survival genes. And there was a 1 recipe or ratio, and he describes this as finding a needle not in 1 haystack, but in 3 haystacks. This is how cool of a eureka moment it was. But that had 18-fold synergy, or an 1,800% upregulation of these survival genes. So over and above broccoli, over and above turmeric, over and above all these other things, there's 1 blend of 5 herbs that turns this survival gene production, this NRF2 switch on better than anything on planet Earth that we know of today. And here it is, you know, 15 years later, 14 years later.
Right. So it's fairly common herbs.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, when I remember when I heard about this supplement some years ago, I wasn't that interested because the herbs sounded so basic, and I knew about these. I knew they were good herbs. I knew they were healthy, but I couldn't believe that they could possibly have the impact that I was hearing that they were supposed to be having. And you're telling me that it's because of the precise blends and how it's put together. You know, that I couldn't just go out and take those 5 herbs and get the same result, right?
Right. And I am going to share my slide or share my screen with you for just a second, because I want you to see this slide that actually that illustrates what we're talking about. If I can share screen and make it big. Okay. This is a comparison of the fold induction means the degree in which it upregulates this survival gene. And this particular one is hemoxygenase, which is, again, an antioxidant enzyme. And here is this bottom right, you see sulforaphane. That's a compound that's in broccoli, and it's isolated. It's why broccoli is so good for you. Yeah. They've taken it out, they've concentrated it, they've isolated it, and they found that when you give a dose of sulforaphane, you know, between 5 and 10 micromoles strength, it upregulates these genes about 20-fold.
Right.
Well, and then there's a couple of drugs they compared it to, because those drugs are known to be NRF2 activators, but we're not going to, you know, make a comparison with drugs, even though this paper did, because protandim is not meant to cure, treat, mitigate, or prevent any disease. It just turns on the body's ability to heal itself.
Let me just interrupt there. You just mentioned the word protandim. So it's the first time you've mentioned it. So protandim is the natural selection of 5 herbs. It's the supplement that we're talking about, right?
Yes, protandim is a blend. That's that eureka moment blend of the 5 herbs: turmeric, bacopa, milk thistle, ashwagandha, and green tea. And as you can see, it's 7 times more potent than the isolated compound in broccoli, which is the most potent natural NRF2 activator known. It's the gold standard in all medical literature. If you go to PubMed.gov and you type in natural NRF2 activator, actually I've never done that, but I imagine that it's the gold standard. It's what everybody uses to look at NRF2 activation.
And this is a concentrated active ingredient in broccoli.
Right.
And it's massively less potent than the mix of the 5 herbs together in the
7 times less, yes. So I'm going to try to stop sharing my screen now. Oh, I do want to show one more slide. Okay, so this is, if you go to PubMed, the actual, what's interesting is this is a branded supplement now. They came up with this recipe back in 2003. There were patents issued. There are now 7 U.S. patents and a total of 13 international, if you include the U.S. patents. And the world just didn't believe that they had something that literally reduced, and this is an FDA-approved statement, reduces oxidative stress, remember that free radical damage, reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days in humans, and that was the average, and it's up to 70%.
Okay, I think I just need to highlight, because you just said something that's absolutely amazing. So the FDA, who are renowned for being really harsh on anything natural, they agree that this totally natural supplement reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. They accept that.
That is an approved statement. The company can make that claim because the company has the science that backs up the claim. And science has proven if it has what's called a p-value of 0.05, meaning there's only a 5% chance that the results are a fluke, 95% confidence that the interval worked. Well, the p-value on the study showing protandim reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days is not 0.05, it's not 0.01, it's not 0.001, it's 0.0001.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Yeah. So this is like conclusively, as far as you can ever get conclusive, it is conclusively scientifically verified fact that this protandum herb combination is going to massively reduce oxidative stress. Now my understanding is that the studies were done on healthy people rather than sick people. Now, if the studies had been done on sick people, what difference would that likely have made?
Well, I mean, the reduction in oxidative stress among healthy volunteers in the ages were 20 to 79, and the average reduction was, excuse me, my dog needs to be let out, I apologize.
Right, don't worry about it, no worries.
Live, was 40%. Oh my gosh, I didn't open the door, forget it. 40% on average. Now, if you have a higher, the 79-year-old, when you get older, your oxidative stress goes up, is kind of as we illustrated earlier. So the 79-year-old had a dramatic reduction in his oxidative stress. The 20-year-old had a slight reduction.
Right, that was my point, because it seems to me the more oxidative stress that you have, which if you're sick, you're going to have more oxidative stress, you're going to get bigger results than a healthy person, because a healthy person is going to have lower oxidative stress, right?
Right, exactly. So yeah, if you have a lot more oxidative stress, when you bring it back to the level of a healthy child, which basically protandem does, that's going to represent a more significant reduction in terms of percentage.
Okay, so let me just summarize here then. So what we've got is a natural herbal supplement that has the ability to reduce oxidative stress by more than anything else on the planet so far, by a long way more, actually, by 40% in a healthy person. So to me, it would seem, and as a holistic health coach, I get to hear about all the. Let me just change. We've just lost.
Sorry.
Let me just do this. There we go. Okay, so I get to hear all of the best products around the world. I work with lots of doctors like yourself and others around the world who bring and tell me about new stuff. Of all these things, I take maybe about 4 or 5 supplements which I think are the best of the best of the best, that do something specific that's majorly important. One of those supplements is protandem. And because there's nothing else that can do what it does, and I understand the importance, and hopefully from this video some other people will begin to understand how important it is to reduce oxidative stress, even if you're healthy. By the way, we don't need to be sick before we want to start reducing oxidative stress, right?
Right.
So we should be reducing it hopefully before we get sick. And also it's going to have an effect on aging, right? I mean, that's aging is caused by oxidative stress. So if we're reducing oxidative stress, then we're going to have better skin on the outside, which is our largest organ, right? We're going to have better skin on our inside, okay?
Yeah.
Our organs, our liver, our kidneys, our heart, and so on are all going to be better that you can't see, but it's going to be because it's under less oxidative stress. So to my mind, if you're into natural health, there's certain supplements that you should definitely include because they can't be reproduced by diet alone. And this is one of those. You cannot do this by having a healthy diet. And most of us, frankly, don't have a diet as healthy as we should anyway. Let's be honest. Most of us don't. But even if you have the great diet and you never eat processed foods and you never eat, you know, any of the crap that's out there, and you always have 100% organic everything, and you don't overcook any of it, and you have plenty of raw mixed in there, and you do all those things, you still, I mean, you're going to be in a very much better position than anybody else if you're doing all of that, but you still can't replicate what this is doing because there isn't anything that does that, right? So my next question then, I know the answer, but I'd like you to give it. Like, a lot of supplements are great to get the real good results, especially if you're chronically sick. You do need to have quite high doses. Okay, you're needing to take quite a lot of each of these supplements to really, you know, to turn things around if you've got something serious going on in your body. So tell me about dosage and cost. I'm very interested to hear how, I mean, this is a pill, right? Actually, let me just show, I've got a bottle here. So let me just show. That's my own bottle right there, and I'm just going to show. It's in a little yellow pill, just like that.
Right.
I guess I'm assuming that's the turmeric. That's
right. It's yellow because of the turmeric, and it's one pill a day, and that's one of the things I love about it. You know, before I found this, I was tired, and that's actually the most common reason people see their doctor is because they're tired. And I had gone to see a doctor because it was, you know, not normal for me. I'm the Energizer Bunny, and she had me on 28 different pills a day. They were mostly natural supplements, except for the thyroid hormone and one other hormone I was taking. But I hated taking that many pills. And when this came into my life, I was like, one pill a day, and I can eliminate everything I'm taking for antioxidant and anti-inflammatory purposes. Number one, I save time and carpal tunnel, you know, and expense. But number two, you know, you don't have the things to worry about like toxicity and overdose and side effects. If you take a lot of vitamin C, there's going to be gastrointestinal side effects. You know, vitamin E can affect clotting. This is 675 milligrams in total of all 5 herbs. So there's very, very, you know, tiny little doses, basically spice dosages. And you mentioned anti-aging and the skin, you know, and who should take it. I wish I had taken it. I found out about this 5 years ago when I was 46. I wish I had taken it when I was 20, you know, and I started giving it to my children when they were 10 and 12 because they're athletes and they swim. And when they swim in a pool that is, you know, sanitized with a poison, they're breathing poisonous gas, which is laying on top of the swimming pool as they do their strokes across the pool at full blast, and they're breathing deeply and a lot. And so they're exposed to a lot of oxidative stress as athletes. And another thing that you mentioned was the skin, and skin is our largest organ. And one of the things I love about the demonstrability of this, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell that it's working. You don't feel oxidative stress any more than you feel your cholesterol number or your cancer cells dividing, God forbid, or any other cellular or enzymatic process. You don't feel it. But some people will feel the effects of reducing oxidative stress in weeks or months. Most, I would say, slightly more than half can put their finger on 2 to 10 things that are better, but that's after 6 months. It's not right away. It's not a drug. But with your skin, that being your largest organ, whether you take the pill or take the pill and use the skin cream, which has the ingredients in the pill in it, or do both, your skin is going to improve. And that's just a slam dunk. Like, look, you know, do you want a fast aging face or a slow aging face? Okay. And if you can see the difference in your skin, you know what that translates to in terms of what's going on inside your body. I love that. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. You know, if you're going to take any supplements, you need to, I think many people take too many supplements. they're on dozens and dozens of different stuff, and it's actually much better to have a few really good key ones rather than taking, you know, like all these dozens and what have you. So the other thing is, now I know that this video will be being watched by people from around the world, so people in the States, people here in the UK, and people etc. So when I'm asking about price, which I'm going to ask just in one moment, you can't give the price for every different country. But if we just look at the US price, and then it's, you know, pro rata roughly. So how much does a bottle like this, which is a month's supply, right? That's 30. I've never counted though. Is it 30?
30, yeah.
30. So
it's $40 US plus tax and shipping. And shipping can be, you know, a big part of the expense because, you know, depending on where you are. And we didn't go into the other legs of the stool of what I call cellular health. Right. Oxidative stress is one of them. One of the things that oxidative stress causes most prominently is mitochondrial damage. Your mitochondria are your cellular powerhouses. They produce 95% of your energy through oxidative phosphorylation in the electron transit chain. But they are damaged through oxidation. So when you reduce oxidation, you're reducing the damage that's occurring ongoing, but you still have some of the damage that had occurred, and you don't have as many mitochondria. So this company that makes Protandim is a science-based company, and they have not just rested on their laurels, and they've gone further, and they've actually made a companion product also called Protandim that activates another pathway called NRF1 that increases mitochondrial biogenesis. And then we are all hearing today about probiotics, and I mentioned probiotics earlier when I said they're a NRF2 activator. They are a 4-pound organ in our body. They make up 99% of our DNA. We are literally 99% microbial. That's hard to fathom. Not 1% human DNA, 99% microbial DNA.
Mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling.
It is. And they are responsible for producing things like glutathione. We just talked about that. They make glutathione. They make neurotransmitters. They determine whether you store fat or burn fat. They determine your mood. It's amazing. And so what LifeVantage, the company that makes Protandim, has done to decrease the cost of these things for people that really, truly want to have their cellular health be optimized in every respect, including oxidative stress, mitochondrial health, and gut health. They've actually eliminated shipping on all three together. Unfortunately, it's not all available in every country, sadly, but on the countries that it is available, that's called the Activated Essentials Bundle, and it eliminates shipping, so it's even more affordable.
Yeah, it's not actually available here, although I was very excited to learn that the NRF1 activating Protandim is now available in the UK, and I don't want to go into that too much on this video because I wanted to focus on NRF2, but basically what that does is helps to repair mitochondria, right? Which is the energy of the cell. And if your cell hasn't got energy, you are your cells, right? So if the cell hasn't got energy, you haven't got energy. And that impacts every area of your health if there's a lack of energy, because your body can't function in many, many different ways if it hasn't got the energy to function. So addressing the oxidation is a key part to that, to reduce the damage done to the mitochondria. That's a foundational platform, but it's actually possible to do something with it, which I'm not going to go into, and I don't really want you to go into either because it's going to make the video too long, but with maybe another video. But on the NRF1 pathway, you know, we can start addressing and fixing the mitochondria with that. So that's a different Protandim which hasn't been available in the UK until very recently. I only found out yesterday. I'm so excited because I'm going to definitely be adding that in with what I'm doing. So that's fantastic. So before we close down, was there anything else that maybe I've forgotten to ask, or something you want to say, you know, that people should know about? By the way, if anybody wants to purchase this Protandim, there's going to be a link below this video, or get back into touch with whoever's given you this video. I'm sure they'll be able to do that. Whatever you do, by the way, do not try and buy products like this from Amazon and eBay and these places that are full of fakes and also no support and no backup whatsoever. Please don't do that. If you're interested in knowing more about all the fakes on Amazon, not just nutrition, but their electronics and their handbags and their designer sunglasses, it's all fake. Okay, it doesn't really matter if you get fake sunglasses. It does matter if you get fake nutrition.
Right, it's like buying it from a guy on the street, you know.
Crazy. It's crazy. People do it. I get people, I get people all the time telling me I'm using this, and this, and I'm getting no results, and what's going on, and I'm talking to them, I'm trying to figure it, and then I find out, oh, they've got it on Amazon. It's like, well, we don't even know if it's real then.
Right.
You know, it's crazy. Why would you buy it from some third party, whatever? And corporations in general, of which Amazon are one, corporations in general have no desire for the success of the natural health industry. None at all. They're not invested in it whatsoever. Don't support corporations. Support the private companies that put the research in, like LifeVantage, and that drive this all forward. So anyway, so that I didn't expect to say that.
I did want to add one thing.
Right.
And that is, when your body has been exposed to cumulative damage for years and years and decades, and you begin to start the repairing process, and you turn on these survival genes, and the body's so-called taking out the trash, okay, there's going to be a period, it's depending on how much oxidative stress a person is dealing with, where the trash is being moved out of the cells to be, eliminated. And when that happens, it's in the bloodstream. And so that can actually cause you to feel kind of crummy initially.
Right.
All that means is that it's working and you really needed it. And that's called a detox, it's called cleansing, it's called Herxheimer, whatever you want to call it. Just be aware that 5 to 10% of the people that take this when they're starting to get the healing process going will go through a brief period where it's uncomfortable. Can that be a headache? Yes. Can that be bloating? Yes. Can it be loose stools? Yes. Can it be slightly elevated heart rate? Yes. Can it be anxiety? Yes. Can it be sleep disturbances? Yes. But I will have to tell you, when this happened for me 5 years ago, I didn't know about the cleansing response. I'm an allopathic physician. We're not taught about the Herxheimer reaction in medical school. Maybe they are now, but not 30 years ago, 27 years ago when I was in medical school. But
I don't think they're taught it now, no.
I didn't know what it was on a brain level, but in my innate sense of knowledge of my body, I knew that was my body's getting rid of the trash. And I was going to actually live like that forever because I knew reducing oxidative stress was good, and I wanted to have it lowered than what I had because that's why I was exhausted and that's why I didn't feel good. So I was prepared to deal with all that forever. Fortunately, it lasted about 3 weeks, and it got milder and milder. Drink lots of water. I cut out the caffeine in my coffee because, my heart was slightly elevated, so I felt like I didn't need the caffeine. And it turns out now I definitely don't need the caffeine because my cells are working better and I have more energy naturally. So anyway, just work with your body. Don't be alarmed. If you have to cut back to half twice a day, you can do that, or even half every day. It's something you definitely want to work through because the rewards on the other side are so great.
Right, I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that I get a lot when people start any kind of natural, any of the really good natural supplements have the potential for causing detox, which is a good thing if it's not too extreme, because as you say, it does mean it's clearing the junk. But if people aren't expecting it, it can freak them out a bit, and sometimes they think, oh, this is killing me, this product. It's not. So a couple of additional points to make. So you need, if that's happening to you, one of the things you need to make sure is that you're drinking enough water. I think you did actually mention that briefly. Mm-hmm. The second thing is you need to make sure you've got good bowel movement. So water and bowel movement are the two primary methods of your body clearing out the junk, and if they're not working properly, you're more likely to feel the negative effects of those added toxins and junk in your blood. Okay, now if you do have to cut back on dose or even pause for and have a little break of a few days or a week and then start again, and you do that. You don't want to be making yourself so sick through detox that you're miserable. Don't that level. That's not good for the body to go to that level, right?
And when you said the bowel movement, that actually made me think. One of the things that I've noticed since the company has come up with this activated essentials and the free shipping is people are taking advantage of it because obviously why not save $9 and get free shipping? But I'm seeing a little bit fewer of the detox concerns, and I believe it's because the probiotic is helping the bowel movements. So wonderful.
Yeah, so the gut has got to be working properly. It's not an issue that affects most people, but it's something you do need to be aware of. Otherwise, it can be a little bit concerning if you're not aware that that might happen and then it happens to you. Awesome. Okay, Dr. McKee, you have been fantastic. I really appreciate your time and expertise on this subject. Hopefully, it's been something that's been eye-opening for lots of people. You know, we really need to take control of our health, and we need to understand that to do that, we have to address the underlying causes that cause us to have disease. Okay, so hopefully this is help some people understand the role of oxidation and what they can do about fixing that problem. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Ethan. I've enjoyed it.
And thank you, everybody, for spending your time listening to us. Thank you.
All right.